My name is Michal Bachman. I'm the CEO at GraphAware. So I founded the company 6 years ago, and we've expanded to pretty much all continents now. We are a Neo4j consulting company, so a good old Neo4j partner for some time. So we help people really work with Neo4j. We help them with data modeling and implementations and graph visualizations and all the rest of it. In the last 2 or 3 years, we've been focusing on knowledge graphs, and we started building a product called Hume, which is a graph-powered insights engine. It's a tool, a platform that turns your data, unstructured data specifically, into knowledge. So there's a lot of things I like about Neo4j, but the first thing that comes to my mind is all the new features in Neo4j 4.0. I was very fortunate to already be able to try some of the features. I love the multigraph, but for me, what's closest for me is the ability to apply security on nodes and relationships in a very flexible way. I love that, and I've already showed it to some of our customers. They will love it as well. So I'm sure about this. This is my favorite thing. Yeah, that's a long story. In the beginning, Neo4j was a library, really, for Java developers, and so it's obviously grown and advanced very, very much from that point. What we've seen, obviously, like you guys, is enterprises and analysts and all these people who make the noise started paying attention to it. What I like about this is that in the process, the community didn't really get forgotten, and there's still a very strong and vibrant and fun Neo4j community out there. It's becoming an enterprise-ready product, and funny enough, and I get asked a lot, who are the biggest competitors of Neo4j? And I struggle answering that, because if I say there are no competitors, for a lot of people that's a sign of an immature market. But I have to say, for a production-ready, enterprise-backed, native graph database, there are still no competitors. But that may change, we will see. So my favorite part working with Neo4j, I think I've said this before, it's always been the same. It's how big of a smile it puts on people's faces once they finally get it. Right, and it's transformational, it's game-changing, and that's what makes it cool, and that's what makes us passionate about it for the last 6, 7, 8 years, and hopefully for many years to come as well. Oh, we've seen a lot of different use cases, and I've talked at conferences about recommendations and things, but I think everybody talks about these. I think my favorite use cases are the funky ones, the unusual ones. We once worked with a university to create a curriculum authoring system in Neo4j, just because it was so complicated, all the relationships in that domain. So that's something I enjoyed a lot. It was truly mapping something complex into the graph. We've built a couple of rules engines where decision making is kind of encoded in the graph, which was quite interesting and sort of mind challenging. I liked all those geeky recursive use cases like time trees and infinite trees and forests. Yeah, that's the ones. I like the unusual cases usually. I think just don't be afraid and start. There's a lot of material out there that is excellent on both the Neo4j website and the GraphAware website. I think modeling is very important. We're still doing quite a lot of talking and writing about how to model your data properly as a graph, and it's a skill that's learned through experience. So that's one place where I think I would get a consultant if I was serious about putting Neo4j into production, I would want to get some review of my data model. Other than that, just get your hands on it. It's super easy to use and you'll love it. We're sure about that. So that's a very interesting story. We were asked by a non-profit organization somewhere in the United States to help people from underprivileged backgrounds and from rehabs and prisons get back to normal life. And the way we were asked to do it was to look at their life stories, look at some not CVs, but really like a textual description of what they've gone through and what they've been through. And based on that free text, just pure free text, recommend where they should go to school or where they should try to get a job or who they should talk to who has a similar life story and so on. And that was the first time, this was back in 2014 or 15, where we realized, well, there's actually structure in unstructured data. There's structure in text that can be harvested, and the best place for it is the graph. So we started experimenting with natural language processing and putting or storing the result of that in Neo4j, along with all the other structured data we had, and out of that came the first sort of version of GraphAware NLP plugins into Neo4j, and then it kind of went from there to full-blown knowledge graph building and Hume as a platform where it is today and where it's headed, which is really end-to-end platform to build knowledge graphs out of structured and unstructured data. The future of Neo4j and graphs is the underpinning layer of machine learning. When I was asked this question a couple of years ago, I think the answer was I expect it to be a mainstream technology. When you're picking up a new database for your project, it'll be one of the databases on the menu, together with all the relational and other NoSQL. I think we're there. I think this prediction was true. Now, the next step is for people to realize that machine learning works best with context. And because it performs better and it's explainable, and it's just, graphs are, we believe, the underpinning fabric for any machine learning and AI applications. So I think Neo4j as a database and as a platform will move in that direction. We'll see more and more algorithms baked in. We'll see more and more people doing graph-based machine learning. And this is also the reason why we as a company, and more specifically, my colleague Alessandro, is writing a book called Graph-Powered Machine Learning, which should be out, hopefully, in the first half of next year.